nice and kind introduction. Thank you. So I do need my paper, sorry, and yeah, it's necessary for me. And I want to start with a very short trailer, which was made for the last Moving Types exhibition 2015 in Frankfurt, and it gives you some short impressions about moving type. And today I would like to give you some insights into our digital archive that Ralph, he's sitting there, hello, and I have been building since 2005. I'd also like to share some pictures from the process of developing the interactive exhibition and retrospective Moving Types Letters in Motion. And finally, I like to present a selection of hand-picked results by my students in Mainz. But first of all, I want to refer on our generation and on writing and language as a communication and mediation tool of our time. We know this photo, I think many of you know that, published in 2015 on Twitter, seeing different generations in reception of an important life event. And some of them, or many of them, with smartphones, and the older generation without them. And myself, as a designer and a woman working in media, as a professor, as a researcher, curator, and a human being, I feel myself as a part of a, and that's very hard, this word for me, transitionial. Is it the right word? Transitionial. What? Transgeneration, yeah, that has experienced a transformation of our private life and of our work life by the rapid developments in technology. I don't want to go back to the period of Johannes Gutenberg in Mainz and his developments in printing in Europe, knowing that all started much earlier in Asia, but with different materials. But I want to go back, short back in the 80s, when I started in Germany, discussions at my university whether computer-based work would kill creativity. Let us smile today. Mobilization and digitization brought us immersive changes in design, and current new parallel worlds like AR, VR, AI, and much more. And we must to be clear that some of these developments come from research for militarity like motion tracking, VR, data gloves, etc. And we all know the big data economy is developing in very, very fast steps. And I feel the idea of consistency to be obsolete in a way, and now can only be found in ourselves. The process of technology and the new media formats that extend our perception. And short look on the current teenagers represent the first smartphone generation. And I know this very well. I have a teenage daughter of my own. And this generation carries their music, library, mailbox, calendar, and la la la, you know that all. The whole life in their hand or in their trouser pockets. And they have a self-image of being multitasker, in a way. And everything is always available in real time, always on. And they are crying very much if their phones don't work. And the generation Z, it's in a way zeitgleich, which means the same time in German, coexistent. And you told that before, the information must be well edited and summarized for very easy understanding. See these acronyms, everything has to be short, otherwise it will not be read, too long, didn't read, wow. Huh? And I have the impression that this is the task of our time also as a designer. That means organizing content, designing content, and making data available. And I think, just wait a moment, I think I skipped that forward. Sense time, you know, that is using IA technology and developing a social credit system. And for me, it's really like establishing a digital caste system, and that makes me afraid. And also the goal right now, and it's not far away from that, to get access to interfaces to neural centers of our human brain, as well as to human consciousness. And that's really, I think, why we have to talk about an ethical framework when we create something new. For me, seems, for example, the term artificial intelligence in a way wrong, because it's man-made and we are responsible for that, what we are doing. But now I would like to come to our archive and start with that, and looking back into the past is for me, for us, very important. Quality, innovation, and the attitude of the earlier generations of designers become obvious. And just some examples. It's just get some frames of what it in this archive. And we started from the beginning of the film until now and looking in the future. And the archive gives us as teachers the possibility to open spaces to future generations of designers for a deeper understanding of this quality, innovation, and attitude. This clip, for example, Subterranean Homesick Blues from Bob Dylan from 1965, is a very good example. It has been copied many, many times, I think over 300 and more times, like we see here, and it's very important to know that this idea existed back in the 60s. And it's very important for me to know that students know that as an example of many. And we have been collecting moving images in which moving letters take the lead role. The following criteria are important for Ralph and me. It's the technological innovation, the aesthetics aspects, and the conceptual relevance. All three are always to be considered as a whole. And a very short look to our exhibition, which Ralph and Dominic is also sitting in the audience, and I created in 2011, Moving Types, Letters in Motion, with more than 200 international moving images, with the most important works coming from our archive. Our archive, I think we have around 800 international works. And we designed this touring exhibition in 2011, and it started in the Gutenberg Museum Mainz and traveled then to different spaces and locations. And the criteria of our exhibition is, first of all, the social media concept. Visitors go through the exhibition with iPads and collect, archive, and publish themselves in the showrooms, the works. And here you see that you go through with the iPad and pick the QR codes, and then on the iPads are the works visible. And we have also for each museum, we are creating a multimedia facade which visitors and passers-by can publish text messages with their own phones. Right now, it's in the Gutenberg Museum Mainz. You can see that. You can put some text on it. It's very nice, and we have found out that a lot of how do you say that? Love messages. I love you. Nice to meet you. And it's written on the facade, and we liked it very much. And we also have the augmented reality catalog, designed by our students with more than 70 moving images and the cinema function. See how it works. And I would like to show some pictures from the process. We never shown this anyone before. You see the construction, And the concept is based on the QR codes and the app, which visualize moving images directly on the tablet. This is Dominic on the left side, right side is Uwe. And the cubes are arranged in chronological order, almost like a walk through history. And you also see how QR codes with the encoded movies and information are being attached on more than 200 cubes, and it's all really handmade. And the concept was not without risk, I have to say that. Would the iPad 2 with the camera be available on time? So it was really risky that. And what material do the cubes need so that no shadows caused by cabling would disturb the scan mode? You see the lightning cubes right now. And here the facade in Dortmund, and the cable work for the LEDs, and the programmer Nico. And yeah, wow. Wow. So now back to the archive. As the basis of the exhibition, it's like an ARC, it's a digital architecture behind, it's a back end, enables access to exchange and transfer of knowledge, and serves as a site of preservation. And I would like to highlight, that's the back end. I would like to highlight 3 aspects for this. First of all, time as a key design criteria. Second, writing books in the movie as a temporal process. We have seen examples today. I add some on, and letters in digital space. And I start with the first one, time as a key design criteria. Film allows letters to move in time, analog, electronic, digital, animated, program generated, and letters can move, reposition, can adopt personality, evaporate, conquer space, interact. And the possibilities of designing movement or designing behavior are challenging us. I think really 30 years ago we entered new, this word is also hard for me, territory. Okay. And criteria such as directions of movement, duration of movement, and diverse dynamics, the principles of Disney rules like primary action, secondary action, acceleration, and so on and so on, creating multidimensionality and required deep consideration, I think so. It's not just playing, so it's really a decision as a designer to do it like that and that and that, and give them sense. And we have established subtle movements like zoom-ins and outs, for example, on our smartphones as well. If you have a look on Twitter or calendars, supports action of slight movements and give you the feeling of a human touch. Hello, motion design is that in a way. And I would like to introduce 2 works. Today, Understand Music is an experimental animation by Florian Geyer, coming from my class at the university. And it's a work about music as a temporal medium, and this is the basis of this piece. And the movement of notes and letters in the clip coordinate the music. The letters act musically. The syntax dissolves. Again and again, new formations emerge, like leaving through a book. And for me, it's really wonderful, animated. And we have a short look because of time in this clip, and I think you can understand. So, film on. So I think you get the idea. Florian. Florian. And yeah, next is something different. Movement creates atmosphere. And this piece, Trying to Build a Sentence, by Susanna Flock, is from 2016 and was implemented purely cinematically, in a way I could say, and technically simple. It's a very simple concept. And the movement, I can just make it all. Yeah, I see it here. The movement of the letters and words occurs at random by the movement of the cows and provides different images. Yeah, the cows, la la la, hello. And they are looking to the camera, right? You see that. And yeah, and finally I have a short, small compilation with different moving letters of different possibilities in creating movements coming from our archive. It's just 30 seconds clip, and I'll show you. Oops. And the next section is writing or books in film, in the film as a temporal process. Letters in the moving image are often provided with loaded information beyond the literal meaning. They place the viewer in a specific environment, a mental state or a mode. In many cases, the starting point is the book or the letter as a temporal process, reading, paging through the book, back and forth, thinking, writing, the possibilities of sending texts, analog or digital in real time, like we see here. Yeah, for example, books and magazines are getting more and more extensions, such as AR application, for example, New York Times, Esquire, or soon I heard that Facebook with integrated AR plugin. I want to skip that and would like to talk about that creating additional meta levels is a fundamental opportunity in moving typography and in motion design. Moving type and type in motion can support or contrast visual statements or build parallel narrative worlds. And the choice of aesthetics is subordinated to the function and the goal. Form follows function, and the transition from the moving letters to the space is already very close by. So I come to the next point, moving letters in digital space, and looking back a little bit. In the year 1900, buses, cars, on the left side we see that human would physically carry information in urban space. And today, on the other hand, the space integrated advertising and artistic information about logos, graffitis, and so on, or moving people with many tattoos on it, or socks. It's very hip with information on it, and you put on the trousers and see the information on the socks. Wow. And brilliantly shown is that, and counteracted in the Oscar-winning animated film Logorama with more than 4,000 international logos. And we had the chance to interview Ludovic Hublin in Paris. It was in 2010, right, Ralph? We were there. And the logos become a city architecture, great designed, and like a true crime story with critique of capitalism. And you find this film on YouTube. It's Logorama, and yeah. So the digital space has to become an infinite stage. And whether linear or interactive, whether animated or programmed, whether augmented or immersive, the stage is free and there are no limits in digital space. And digital devices are tools that expand real space for a mathematization of space and make room for new concepts. And aesthetics, concept, and technical skills build a unity. AR and VR expand the scope of design many times over, but also require a high narrative competence, including the ability telling stories, and the mediation of mood, an idea, a topic. And important pioneers are, like David Small presented before, for me, for us, are, yes, Maria Cooper and you at the MIT Media Lab with the Visual Language Workshop and Information Landscape and some more works, which we heard from David Small before. And also I like very much, and I was very impressed about that, in 1998, the floating menu from Yuko Nakamura, which influenced many of us. And it was, for me, the first floating menu on a web for monocrafts. And navigating and interacting with text is increasingly entering into physical space. And I just want to show some short examples from our archive, very clipped, and yeah, give you some ideas of Now I'd like to present a few student works. Teaching provides room for experimentation to provoke creativity, and I can offer space of developing new forms of dialogue and exchange. And conceptual competence should be promoted independently of technological competence. And the look back is important in order to recognize why specific concepts were special in their time. And I'd like to show two works today. One is from 2016. It's right side, the Poetry Swing from Nicola Scheibe. She's also working with the Connect in the exhibition MOTYF 2 years ago at the Gutenberg Museum Mainz. And it's a swing, you swing, and it's an interpretation of the poem Le Bateau Ivre by Arthur Rimbaud. And you see the syntax is it's something like liberté. You let the ship behind you, and you are free. And the moment of liberation, or liberation, it's the right word for that. Is visible in going away from the normal syntax of setting texts. Yeah. I like this work very much. It changes the syntax and the projection until it starts to dissolve. And finally, the whole new but not quite ready interactive app, NeoNode. The idea of Dorothy, Frederick and Victor is to label the urban world with text messages. It's like a digital blackboard in the outside, and the app enables us to publish customized text messages on selected walls. For me, it's a wonderful idea, and the prototype film can be seen here in the MOTYF exhibition. And I could imagine this app being used to create many wonderful designed messages. Just a short look inside. They did this clip. So, I'd like to conclude with the following. Why an archive? Why an exhibition? What do we want to preserve? What should we become aware of? And that's very simple. The past reveals knowledge, and a knowledge that has the goal of the ability to encounter new ways and to create the future as self-aware designers with power and responsibility. Technologically, we can play many, many tricks, but we should never forget that we are the designers, and that's very important for me. What we design should contain a glimmer of humanity. And this reflects the meaning of what we are dealing with. It is important to note that type in motion that emerges in the moving image is a very powerful design tool. Readability is always imposing on the viewer. And I would like to briefly mention my former professor, Basin Brock. He lamented the imprecision of the term "we are." In his opinion, there are only real virtualizations, distinguished by the real and representing the real. He claims that unlike virtual reality, in realized virtualization, the human presence remains untouched. And he names not virtual reality, but real virtuality, the correction of popular nonsense. If you are interested, you can read that on his website. And I'd also like to mention Jamiroquai, his song Virtual Insanity, which is also the title of a recent exhibition in Mainz. Both have a critical view on technology and the virtual and the human experience. And so should we expecting the beginning of a virtual madness or coming the paradise? And in any case, it is important to discuss all this, especially with our young generation we train, and what needs to be said. An ethical set of rules in dealing with new media technologies, an off button for emergencies. The truth is what connects us and the past with the new. This is the firm belief of my teaching, connecting yesterday with today. And today, in this wonderful place, in this LexIcon, thank you. And thank you for attention. Thank you for organizing. Thank you very much.